Lars, moving closer into what Europe is interested in, to what extent do European investors look at the Philippines compared to the rest of the ASEAN region? What do we have in terms of, competitive advantage, and which ones are our closest competitors, especially when we talk about, pandemic and how we've handled the pandemic, infrastructure, and the ways in which we've been doing business, cost of doing business, ease of doing business here in the Philippines?
Very good question. First of all, Europe is the single largest investor into ASEAN. On an accumulated basis, $350 billion invested by European companies into ASEAN. That's the great part of the story. The sad part is only 4.7% of that has benefited the Philippines. So obviously, especially enabled by these new bills, especially this landmark bill, the Public Service Act amendments, it is now up to us to really make Philippines a focus area. And to put it very simply, I don't have to jump up and down to convince them to look in this direction. As a matter of fact, ASEAN is already the highest, the most preferred investment region globally for European companies. What we have to do at ECCP and the Joint Foreign Chambers, well, especially ECCP, is to gravitate more of these investments towards the Philippines. And I think we are becoming increasingly attractive and increasingly competitive in that regard. There's still a way to go, and there are some specific areas, especially within energy, by the way, sustainable energy, where we need further improvements. But I believe that we can do a lot to grow it. We already saw it. You also asked with reference to how we managed, how the country was managed through the COVID pandemic. We feared that with the highly sustained lockdowns, that we would have a slower bounce back in the Philippines than in the other countries. Luckily, at least I were wrong. The economy grew 5.5% last year. We look like we're having a very quick, rapid bounce back. These bills, these amendments will certainly help it. And then, of course, there are also new external factors that you covered earlier in your news about energy prices, inflation, and other things.